Imagine discovering that one simple decision you didn't make years ago could have completely changed your financial life today. Not a risky gamble, not a huge inheritance, just starting earlier. Millions of people spend decades working hard, only to realize that time, not effort, was the missing ingredient. The painful truth is that most investors don't regret losing money nearly as much as they regret not beginning sooner. Because in investing, time is the one resource you can never get back once it's gone. And the difference between starting early and starting late can mean the difference between struggling forever and living with real financial freedom. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why waiting is so expensive, and why starting today could still change everything. Part 1. The biggest financial advantage is time. When people think about successful investors, they often imagine high incomes, expert knowledge, or lucky stock picks. But the single biggest advantage isn't skill or salary, it's time. Money doesn't grow in a straight line, it grows exponentially, meaning the longer it stays invested, the faster it multiplies. Early years can feel slow and almost disappointing, which is why many people quit too soon. But those quiet early years are actually building the foundation for explosive growth later. Someone who starts investing in their early 20s gives their money decades to compound, recover from downturns, and accelerate. Someone who waits until their 30s or 40s loses a huge portion of that growth window forever. Two people investing the same amount monthly can end up with dramatically different outcomes simply because one started earlier. Time quietly does most of the work, but only if you give it enough years to operate. Part 2. The hidden power of compounding. Compounding is what transforms ordinary saving into extraordinary wealth. It means your investment returns begin generating their own returns, creating a snowball effect that accelerates over time. In the beginning, most of your portfolio comes from the money you contribute yourself. Growth seems modest, almost insignificant. But as years pass, the balance becomes large enough that the gains alone start adding substantial amounts each year. Eventually, your money can grow more in a single year than you originally invested across several years combined. This is why starting early matters so much. Compounding needs time to become powerful. If you delay, you don't just miss contributions, you miss decades of growth on those contributions. People often underestimate this effect because it's invisible at first. But over long periods, compounding becomes the dominant force behind wealth creation, turning patience and consistency into outcomes that seem almost unbelievable. Part 3. Starting. Late requires drastically more effort. Beginning late doesn't simply mean you'll end up with slightly less money. It often means you must work dramatically harder to reach the same goals. When time is short, the only way to compensate is by increasing how much you invest each month. Someone who starts young might need to set aside a manageable portion of their income, while someone starting decades later may need to invest aggressively just to catch up. This can create significant financial pressure, forcing difficult trade-offs between current lifestyle and future security. Late starters also have less flexibility to recover from market downturns because they don't have decades ahead for rebounds. Every mistake or interruption carries more weight. In contrast, early investors can afford patience, moderate contributions, and occasional setbacks because time is on their side. Starting late turns investing into a race, while starting early turns it into a long, manageable journey. Part 4. Investing. Early reduces financial anxiety. One of the most overlooked benefits of investing early is the peace of mind it creates. Knowing that your future is steadily being funded can dramatically reduce everyday financial stress. Unexpected expenses, career changes, or economic downturns feel less threatening when you have long-term assets growing in the background. Early investors often gain a sense of control over their future because they're not relying solely on future income to solve future problems. This security can influence life decisions in positive ways, allowing more freedom to change jobs, start a business, or take calculated risks. On the other hand, people who delay investing frequently experience growing anxiety as retirement approaches. The realization that time is limited can make financial uncertainty feel overwhelming. Starting early doesn't guarantee wealth overnight, but it builds a foundation of stability that makes the future feel manageable rather than intimidating. Part 5. You don't need to be rich to start. A common misconception is that investing is only for people with large salaries or substantial savings. In reality, the size of your first investment matters far less than the fact that you begin at all. Small, consistent contributions can grow into significant amounts over decades because compounding multiplies both big and small inputs alike. Waiting until you feel financially comfortable often backfires, as higher income typically brings higher expenses and new lifestyle expectations. Many people who delay starting discover that they never feel truly ready. Beginning with a modest amount builds the habit of investing, and habits tend to scale naturally as earnings increase. It also removes the psychological barrier that makes investing feel intimidating. Over time, consistency matters far more than intensity. Even a small monthly contribution started early can outperform large contributions begun much later, proving that accessibility, not wealth, is the real key to entry. Part 6. The cost of waiting is invisible. Unlike most financial mistakes, delaying investing doesn't produce immediate consequences. There's no bill, penalty, or warning sign telling you how much it's costing. This invisibility makes procrastination dangerously easy. However, each year you postpone permanently removes 1 year of potential compound growth from your future. Those lost years cannot be recovered later, no matter how much you invest afterward. It's similar to missing the early stages of planting a forest. You can plant trees later, but they will never be as mature as those planted earlier. Because the loss is hidden, many people underestimate how expensive waiting truly is. By the time they recognize the impact, decades may have passed. The real cost isn't just the money you didn't invest, it's the growth that money would have generated over time. This silent erosion of future wealth is why procrastination is one of the most damaging financial habits. Part 7. The best time was before the second. Time was. Best is now. While it's true that starting earlier would have been ideal, dwelling on missed opportunities doesn't improve the future. What matters is preventing today from becoming another regret years from now. Every day you delay is another day of lost potential growth, but every day you act begins reversing that trend. You don't need the perfect plan, flawless timing, or expert knowledge to begin. In fact, waiting for perfect conditions often leads to endless postponement. Consistency and patience matter far more than precision. Even small steps taken today can compound into meaningful progress over time. Starting now also builds momentum, turning investing from an intimidating concept into a routine behavior. Future, you won't judge how late you started, only whether you started at all. The earlier you begin from this point forward, the more options and security you create for yourself later in life. If this video changed how you think about investing, don't let it end as motivation alone. Take one simple action today: open an account, set up an automatic contribution, or start learning about your first investment. Years from now, you won't remember the hesitation, but you will remember the moment you decided to begin. Like this video, subscribe for more practical insights on building long-term wealth, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that time is their greatest financial asset. Your future self will thank you for what you start today.